Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of our podcast. My name is Samra, and I'm a confidence coach. And today I'm joined by a fellow coach and a dear friend, Ine-Mari, who's a corporate trainer and an emotional intelligence coach. And today we are going to unpack topics related to confidence and emotional intelligence from a fresh perspective. And at the same time, we'll be sharing some personal stories. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. Hi, Annie Marie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Samra. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It is such a big honor to be with you here. And me and you have such lovely conversations. I can't wait to do this podcast with you.
Yes, absolutely. I think the first person I did the podcast with was you. So I will always to go back to the roots and always reconnect with the roots. And tell me a little bit about what you do, Annie Marie.
Yes, like you, I'm a coach, but I was struggling to find my niche. And for almost 2 years, I wanted to help people. I know I wanted to be a coach. I know I want to help people. I'm
Yep.
a health and skincare therapist for the last 25 years. So, talking one on one and delving into problems and all of those, I've been doing that for my whole life. However, I got to a point where I thought, I don't want to just do on body and facial work with people. I really want to help them mentally as well. And then also being a mom, becoming an expat, all of those life lessons little life lessons, I wanted to share with the world. So in everything, I had quite a big struggle that I had to go through the past 10 years as we all went through COVID, and everybody had a big struggle to go through COVID. But directly after COVID, also, unfortunately, I lost my husband to a heart attack. And it was very sudden. And I've got two teenagers, which we need to now find our way. And I became intensely aware of how people treat other people. It's like there was just a magnifying glass on, if you tell people that you have a pain, how they react. Some people is intensely sorry for you. Some people show real empathy. Other people just don't listen to what you are saying.
Hmm.
So I became intensely aware of how we treat each other, and I realized that in this day and age of AI, um, there is no emotional intelligence. People don't have the skill
Hmm.
anymore. Kids don't have the skill. If I listen to how the kids talk to each other in school,
Yeah.
they don't understand. And then you get cultural differences, you get generational differences. You this one don't understand that one. And I decided the understanding and the listening of one person towards another. That's my emotional intelligence part where I want to come in. And just to dive a little bit into it, at 16, just after COVID, my son was diagnosed. He was gone his whole life through masking the fact that he had ADHD. And
Hmm.
during COVID, it came out. When he was at home, they did online training. I could see that he was struggling with attention and everything. He was never hyperactive, never hyperactive. Well, he's a sporty person, but I didn't see him as hyperactive. But
Okay.
the attention span clearly had a problem. So he was diagnosed with ADHD, and I first started diving into being an ADHD coach. But we discussed this a little bit before we started recording. If you talk to someone and say, my son has been diagnosed with ADHD, again, emotional intelligence, they say, oh, everybody says ADHD these days. Or they will say, oh, I have it as well. Or my son has got it as well. And you know what? He does not sit still. And then I want to scream and I say, mine sits still, but he still has ADHD. So
Hmm.
let's understand what it is. Let's understand what we're working with. Who in the corporate world we are working with ADHD. And then my husband being a pilot, um, very interesting for me. And the doctors want me to give them actual numbers, and you can't because it's not tested. But my opinion is that most pilots are also ADHD because they can't sit in
Wow.
just one room for their lives. They want to travel, they want to focus, they have to be able to hyper focus for short periods of time. And if I say short periods, I mean up to 16 hours. But once they're done, then they rest again, and then they're not responsible until they're in the cockpit again. So typical ADHD circumstances, but they're not allowed to be ADHD diagnosed and have a medical to fly. So most of them are undiagnosed. Very interesting fact.
It
But
absolutely
yeah,
is. I'm totally surprised to hear this.
so if we're going to talk about it and everything, I want us to start with emotional intelligence first and confidence.
Hmm.
And I think you being a confidence coach as well, you can also shed a lot of light on confidence. So yes, that's an interesting topic to put the two together.
Absolutely. Well, Ine-Mari, first of all, I am amazed to hear how you have arrived at, taking interest in this topic of ADHD. And like I mentioned, we were having a chat earlier that I myself find it very difficult to stay focused on a task for longer than 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And I do understand that you have been through a major loss recently in terms of losing your husband. It has not been easy for you. I completely understand, and I'm so grateful that you were able to share that story with us today. It takes a certain level of bravery to speak about something so near and dear to your heart. And as you know, my heart goes out to you for this. You have overcome so much, and it's interesting to know that your husband, your late husband, was also ADHD. Although it's sort of strange because pilots, when they are on a plane for such a long amount of time, it cannot be ADHD. Means a person who sits for 10 minutes and loses focus. A pilot sitting in a cockpit for around 10 hours to 16 hours, it's hard to believe that they can be ADHD. You can sit in one place for so long. I think it's the opposite. They're hyper
Absolutely.
focused.
So that's where misunderstanding comes in of the whole ADHD. Because let's start with
Right.
the word attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's completely wrong, because yes, it is about attention, but it's no deficit. It is just a difference. Um, then hyperactivity, there's only about 30% of ADHD that actually is hyperactive. The rest are all inattentive. So they are not necessarily bouncing bunnies. They
Okay.
can sit still in one place and zone out and not pay attention to this, but pay attention to
Oh,
what's in their head, and have
okay.
actual conversations and things about things that they are interested in. However, the last one is disorder. It's not a disorder, it's a difference. It's a difference in how the brain works. It's not really a disorder. It can be very, very beneficial if handled in the right way. Now,
Interesting.
the reason why I'm saying is and why pilots can focus for as long as they need to focus is because they're interested in their topic. If you take a person that has got ADHD and is interested in animals, and you
Hmm.
try and teach them math, you're going to have 2 minutes of attention all the time, and they're going to struggle, and they're not going to be able to get to the end of the math. But if
Hmm.
you go start talking about animals with that person, they're going to talk the whole day with you. You're going to have the attention the whole time because that's their interest, and they hyper focus on the interest and the channel of interest, which makes them so good in completing the tasks which they are interested in. They will be, in that case, for instance, the best ATC, the best pilots, because they are interested in that specific topic, and they will
Hmm.
do the best they can in that topic. The rest of the things are going to go past them. It's not that there's multiple things always that they're going to, it's when they are bored, when multiple things is going to start taking their attention away, because their brain is searching for what is next, where am I in, and then boom,
Yeah.
I'm focusing, you know? So if you, for instance, say, struggling with attention, and you watch a movie that's really beautiful and it's something that you are interested in, you can sit through the whole movie and be interested in that movie. Say, for instance, you are into romantic comedies.
Hmm.
You can sit and enjoy it and be focused and tell the whole movie afterwards to whoever you want to tell it to. But now I'm taking you to a horror movie. You're just going to be freaked out and not being able to tell anything about this,
Hmm.
which is something that I found from my son. For instance, I will pick him up from school and I will ask him exactly what happened in school today. Which subject did you have? And I mean, we are still in front of the school. We haven't even driven away from the school. And he won't be able to tell me. He had no idea. However, he, at the age of 3, he could tell me every eagle's name there is. He could tell me how far and how fast a springbok can go. He would tell me the difference between a cheetah and a leopard since he was very, very small. He could sit through the whole Lion King. He could sit through the whole Spirit movie. And it's only afterwards when I realized what it was that I realized he never sat through a Disney movie. And I mean, like any Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or those, he was never interested in that. But play Lion King, you can play it for him 6 times over and he will focus on it and sit still. So that's the thing is when they are interested, they're hyper focused. So another example was I said to him at the time he wanted to visit his friends. Okay, so he's now a teenager. Social action is his interest at this point. He wants to connect with people. And so, by the way, ADHD people is very, very dependent on other people's approval. So their social interaction at teenage years is hyper vigilant. Um,
Hmm.
so I said to him, I can't take you to your friends anymore. So, and I don't have money for so many taxis. You've got to start making a plan because we need to now start focusing on you getting a job or making money.
Yeah.
So I said to him, we can go try McDonald's, see if they can flip burgers or do something that you can start with. And in his mind, he's like, nah, not for me. Don't want to do that. And then he sleeps late every day, and I get more irritated with him every day, and I don't know what's happening. And one day I turned around and I said to him, have you done something? Is there some interviews I can take you to? Is there now something that you are interested in? Are you going to walk dogs? What are you going to do? He said to me, I made 3,000 dirhams last night. And I said, what? And he said, I did trading. So he knew he wanted money for a certain thing, but he doesn't want to go out and get the money. So what did he
Hmm.
do? He watched all the YouTube videos he could on trading. And then he opened an account and he tried it out and he did very well. You know, after a while, that became a commodity. So now he tries something different. But this is the thing: if they really want to do something, if they're really interested, they're the best person for the job. Absolutely, they're super focused.
Hmm. Hmm. That is a truly fresh perspective that I'm getting to hear about ADHD that I haven't heard before. I mean, I'm just spellbound at the moment. I did not know that ADHD is not scattered focus. It's in fact an interest oriented focus, interest based focus. And when a person is doing something that they're interested in, ADHD can then work in their favor, and they can
Absolutely,
basically they can ace that thing as long as they find what they're interested in. And it's true that when I'm interested in something that truly amazes me, I will sit through that for as long
yes,
as that thing is happening. And I lose focus quickly when I don't have interest in a certain topic or a certain task that I'm doing, and I will find excuses to not do it. I'll find ways
yes,
to hold it off. So wow, this is interesting. So in a way, being a pilot served, having ADHD for your late husband and being a pilot served very well, because those two things meshed together made him a competitive pilot. And
yes.
this is amazing. I mean, if in a way, if you look at ADHD, it can serve us if we learn how to maneuver it the right way.
Exactly. And if you look at the people that's really extremely I want to say successful in the social part of life,
Yeah.
uh, most of them has got some kind of ADHD around them. I mean, let's have a look. Richard Branson is there. He has disclosed he's got dyslexia, so it's not completely ADHD, but he's got something else that he needs to overcome. But can't go to school, but I'm super focused in, and he's got a fantastic business brain.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not somebody that's going to do the job, but somebody that's going to see the view and help other people and do the leadership so that they can get there. So he knows where the end point is, and he gets the people who's going to get him to the end point. Um, so let's have a look at Elon Musk again.
Hmm.
He had an endpoint. He's got a vision. He's got a drive with him. If you're going to talk to him about classical music, yeah, not necessarily. I don't think that's completely his point.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that attention, But talk to him about going to space. He's going to talk for 3 days. Uh,
That's true.
so let's have a look. And I'm not saying he's ADHD, but Donald Trump. Talk to him
Hmm.
finance and politics, and he's going to talk your ears off. Talk to him about crops growing. He's not going to talk to you about it. So
That's
it's with
true.
everything in life, people need to find their own niche. And this is what we also talked about yesterday, is finding your niche is a difficult thing. It's not something that just happens.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and unfortunately, society asks of us to find our niche at the age of 16, 18 years old. And I don't always think, unless you are born with the idea, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be an accountant, or I'm going to be saving the whales, unless you're born with that idea and going through life with that idea, 99% of us do not know by the age of 18 what is our niche. So we need to actually live life first and to find it, which is fantastic at this point. When my son finished school, and we've got that story about that as well. But we decided now he's doing a gap year, and the idea, the every day that I see of how he's forming himself and how he's finding what his interests are without other people influencing on, you have to do this now, you have to make that deadline, you have to do this business project now. The ideas that's coming is unbelievable. It is, it's like, how did you think about this? And he's helping me with building my business now as well. Very interested in negotiations and how to talk to people and everything. So I'm excited to see what's coming out of it. I'm not thinking, oh, my child has got a disorder. I'm thinking he's got a superpower, and what's going to
Yeah.
happen here? I'm excited about this, and that's why I would like to coach parents to get excited about their children. To handle
Hmm.
them with excitement and not with disorders. It doesn't matter
Interesting.
if they have or not.
Yes. Yes.
How
Yes.
they handle their kids also brings me to emotional intelligence. Uh, I had a friend when I was in school that was absolutely brilliant in everything. She could play the violin like a bird that's singing, and she could play piano, and she was in the choir, and she was first team tennis, and then she was first team swimming, and then she was doing athletics, and she did all the A's in school. And coming to us becoming 40 years old, she couldn't handle life, because the actual problems of life was not something she could solve sitting down.
Hmm.
The emotional intelligence in between. She thought if she works hard at it, you can do this. And sometimes you have to be able to make conversation, build relationships, find love. All of that takes time and effort, and sometimes a little bit of patience. It's not just I'm going to grind through it like a bulldozer and make it work. Um, so
Hmm.
yes, uh,
I think I've totally like zoomed in into your story, and I don't know what to say because it is so relatable, and the way you explain emotional intelligence and ADHD through these powerful stories is just amazing. I mean, it's so true when you say that there are people that are high achievers. There are people that are out there making things happen and they're a jack of all trades. But then when it comes to, when life happens and when there's time to bring your people skills out, we're blank. Like, okay, how am I going to deal with this situation? And it's so true because I think I relate to it at certain level as well. There, sometimes I have trouble communicating my
Yeah,
desires or my how I feel. I have trouble communicating my standards or my boundaries. I have been, I've had that struggle for the longest time possible. I would either shut down or not say anything at all, or I would just go silent, but I wouldn't have a healthy outlet of explaining how exactly I would like to communicate with people, because it's all about relationships at the end of the day. And I've seen this time and time again in several professions. There are people out there, they are directors, managers, and CEOs and CFOs making it big, yet their personal lives are extremely disturbed. They
exactly.
don't know how to maintain relationships. They don't know how to maintain or sustain friendships, or they need help with that. And they start questioning their own self-worth and say, is something wrong with me? No, nothing is wrong with you. It's just that you never exercise your emotional intelligence muscle. So I'm
Exactly.
so glad that you brought this up. And yes, let's talk about emotional intelligence. And I think it's important we bring this into light. Why? Because another reason why is because I think right now, in this day and age, like you mentioned, the world of AI, it has become even more crucial to
Mm.
hold on to feelings, to emotions, to connections, to feeling something instead of feeling numb all the time. There are people that feel nothing. There are people out there that feel nothing and they're like, yeah, I don't feel anything. I can't cry, I can't do anything. It's amazing how emotional intelligence has been on deaf ears.
But you know what the interesting thing for me is people that struggle with emotional intelligence and people that struggle with emotions that's been pushed down. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to show emotion. You're
Yeah,
not allowed to do,
yeah,
and usually that happens in childhood. Um, and then they struggle then with that.
that's true.
They really have trouble to understand the enjoyment of life because the day starts and the day ends and we take things as it goes. There's no highs, there's no lows. And that's the thing about going through struggles. uh,
Mm,
I always say it's really necessary for us to, if you go through a struggle, to feel it, take the time and feel the struggle, because when you have that low, and you get out of it, and you go up and you find a high, it's so much more enjoyable. It brings so much more life to you. uh, and just to have a one line life is not enjoyable at all. People that
yeah.
struggle with laughing, you know i I very much raised my daughter, she's 14 by the way, with the idea of Grey's Anatomy in hand. If you have a struggle, you lock yourself in a room and you dance it out until you can laugh again. You hit that low and you start dancing until that endorphins start working, until you can feel that going through, and you dance it out until you can feel happy again. But feel the low and feel the happy. Really go
Love
into
that.
it.
Mm.
Really go into it.
Oh,
And
love this.
what I so absolutely, um, I must say, I'm so grateful for, and I've learned the past 10 months to be grateful for the smallest thing, but I'm absolutely grateful for my children's school, which they are in. Uh, the school is an IB school. It encourages them to ask questions about life and everything else. And when their father passed away, the school actually said to me, take days off, as long as it takes. And I was stressed about it because, my son was in year 13. And my daughter,
Yeah.
yes, she can take a month and a half off if she wants, but my son has got limited time to his final exams.
Yeah.
And they just said, take it off. We will catch it up when you are ready. And I cannot tell you how much I have uh, I can't even express it. The thankfulness in me that came out because they realized that the emotion that they have is so big, they cannot concentrate on anything else. And they allowed them the time to feel it. They allowed them the time to work with it. And even after 2 weeks, I said, okay, now I'm starting to stress. We need to start moving along. And I sent a letter to the school and I said, okay, these kids are going to try coming back to school tomorrow. And they sent me an email back and said, it's too soon. Don't. I said, but they would like to get out of the house because, people come and cry here. So
Yeah.
we, we need to let them out of the house. I was very fortunate. My son already had his driver's license, so he could drive them to school and back. I didn't have to face because I couldn't face anyone at that point. Um, so I said to them, okay, I'm going to send the kids tomorrow. Let's see what happens. And they went to school for an hour, and both of them said, I can't anymore. And the school said, it's fine. You can go home. And then tomorrow we try again. And the day after we try again until you're good and ready. And they had the emotional intelligence from their side to guide us through pain no one could imagine, you know, where other companies um, said that they have our back, that we had um, been in for with 10 years and everything here in Dubai. And in the end, when the number is up, the number is up. The next employee comes in and you're being pushed out. Um, I couldn't say the same from the school. Also, the kids' rugby club. I went in and I said to them, we've got this problem. I'm first aid there, but the kids are playing rugby. They said, whatever you need. We've got the club, we've got the teams, we've got the hands, whatever you need. Um, our church community sent us food for 2 weeks. At the beginning, I didn't think it was necessary. We've got the ways and means to get food. But by day 3, I couldn't lift my head and my hands, and there was food. Um, that's emotional intelligence. Looking after the smallest thing from you can cry now. And when you are done crying, I'm here and we can get back up thing, you know. Um, on the flip side, I went to my husband's HR and I had a problem with a procedure that they had in their manual about medical help towards their staff. It was a small matter, just a really small thing, and that is certain people is allowed to walk in to their medical facility, and other people is not allowed to walk in. They have to make appointments. My husband fell under the category where he needs to make an appointment. He went for help. He was told that he needs to come back and make an appointment. He didn't have the energy to go back. Um, and he begged me not to let him know because being a pilot, being sick affects your medical, which can affect your job. And he thought he had the flu. So, us not being doctors, being weary of doctors, being weary of pulling medicals and everything, this really impacted our lives. Where they say that they have the best medical, but you can't use it because maybe it's your career. So I went to them and I said, you've got this thing for the world to see that you have the facilities and the abilities to help. But when it comes to help, personally, it's really difficult. Maybe you should look into the procedure that there is for people like pilots, a walk in procedure so that they can just do a blood pressure test, take a fever. It doesn't take much. So maybe you should change that. And the answer I got was, we followed procedure, we're good.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't ask if they followed procedure. I know they did.
Hmm.
Understand that and I was very lucky that I am now in a position where I can do corporate training, and I've met people already from all over the world in my corporate trainings, and I can do one-on-one training where it stretches my mind as well. I worked with a PA of a ministry of one of the African countries. I've worked with CEO from uh, events planning company also in Africa. I've worked with Saudi ministry people that all came for emotional intelligence or management skills,
Wow.
and then we work emotional intelligence in. Um, and from what I've learned is it is really not the person's fault if they don't have the emotional intelligence, because it's something that we have, it's a skill we have to learn. And if nobody taught you that skill, you wouldn't have it.
Yeah. True.
which is
True.
which is AI, what's happening now. People aren't being taught the skill of talking to other people because AI is doing everything.
That's true. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that subject itself is it's such a vast and such a detailed subject that if you bring it up, I think we'll go on a different trajectory. However, I can see the impact happening already. I can see, I can witness, and like you already did personally, the impact of people becoming sort of numb to emotions because they're
Yep.
relying heavily on technology. And
Yes.
and I think it's quite alarming. And I think it's even more important at this stage that people like you come out and start to create a movement and bring back emotions into the picture so people can stick to their own feelings in order to build their businesses, in order to move forward in life, in order to navigate life's, ebbs and flows, and to build better relationships. It becomes even more important at this stage for coaches like you to put yourself out there and create awareness. And just having this, just listening to everything you said to me is already making me aware more than before, because the struggles that you faced is your own, are your own struggles, but no one will know unless you voice them and create
Yeah.
awareness about them. So I'm glad that you did.
um we can all bury whatever we go through in life, and nobody will ever know. But
Yes.
also nobody will benefit from it. you know
True.
what what is the
Yeah,
lessons that are then worth if we can't share it? um
absolutely. This is
and
the real thing. Yeah.
as I said at the beginning, perspectives, perspectives is formed from experiences. And my perspective is different from anybody else's perspective because my experience is different from anyone else's experience.
Agreed.
So
Yes. Yes.
somebody would react in a way, and um, I had this student the other day that said to me, he is a bit of a time urgency perfectionist, and if people is late for a meeting and they say it was traffic, he gets really angry at them because you should know there's traffic. You should start earlier so that you are on time for the
Yes.
meeting.
Yes.
Why is traffic always a trouble?
Pretty common.
And I said
Yeah.
to him, okay, but have you considered an accident? That there's not supposed to be that much traffic at that
Yes.
point,
That's
and
true.
it's
Yep.
nobody's. So just to get angry because there was traffic, you can't, because you're not sure what happened. You were
Yeah.
not there. You did not have the experience of that traffic to know exactly what happened there. So if you say sorry, there was traffic. Yeah, I know. Traffic is my best excuse if I'm late, but sometimes there's really a problem, and you have to
Yeah.
give the person the benefit of the doubt there. You know,
True. True.
so
True. I agree.
that's if you look at children in school, um, that say, "Miss, I didn't do my homework. Why didn't you do your? I told you to do your homework. How are we going to go forward if you didn't do your homework? I'm trying to help you here. What happened at home? Why did this child not do their homework? Did this child
Yes.
had another struggle? You know,
Wow.
what happened there? Um, and that is that for me is one of the things that you have to realize the perspective that you have of this problem in front of you is not the perspective with the person that you have the problem with. That person has got another experience to this problem. Yeah.
I love this. Love this. Wow, this is so true. I mean, you are literally right now pinpointing some of the most common and some of the most painstaking experiences people face on a daily basis. Um, and we are so quick in our judgment about people, and we come at them with a preconceived notion that, this is just like the others. Because we have faced some kind of experience in the past, we then place a similar judgment onto the people that that are new and upcoming, and we already have created an image in our heads about them, right? And we basically conduct ourselves based on that preconceived notion, which then again raises the topic of emotional intelligence, asking their story, their side of the story.
Absolutely, but that's also if you're going to look at. I keep on coming back to teenagers because they're fascinating, but let's talk about confidence. Where does confidence and emotional intelligence connect? You know, if you're a baby uh, and you get lots of love from mom and dad, and when you cry, you get food, and when you are tired, you can sleep in somebody's arms, and you feel secure and loved. You have confidence to feel and show your emotions. And easy enough to know that as a baby, that's your most true person that you can get because they show you exactly what they feel. Now, if you take that same baby and you take the love away and you take the support away and you take, and they're crying and nobody's hearing them and nobody's holding them, and they get, say, for instance, put in an orphanage and fed 3 times a day, and for the rest of the time they cry and without that baby doesn't have the confidence anymore to show what they feel. So they will stop crying. They will stop asking for love. Um, Fast forward to a teenage year where teenagers need to form social connections. Now everybody is taking their phones and they on their phone the whole time. You know, where is the social
Guilty
connection on a
pleasure.
phone? No, it's a phone. It's not a real connection. Um,
It's not a real one.
so and I heard the other day someone said to me, very interesting, that your biggest form of defeat is when your head is bowed, you know.
Wow.
So we are talking about body language. Now, you put a phone in front of you and you did
Wow. Profound. That's
not even a
profound.
word, not even a word. Have you walked into a room where a lot of teenagers sit with their phones? You don't see one face, you don't see eyes, you don't see connection. There's no training of emotional intelligence more than put your phone away and look me in the eye.
Ine-Mari, you're just throwing firecrackers everywhere right now.
Yeah, this is just experience, life experience. If you're going to have a look out, go out and go sit at a coffee shop and look at the people. Put your phone down, look at the people.
That's true. That's true. I loved how you gave the analogy of putting your head down um, as a defeat. That was a powerful one. That was a powerful analogy. I loved how bowing down or looking down is a sign of defeat. And if we when you explained to me that we walk in a room of teenagers looking at down in their phone, in my head I'm like, okay, everyone is defeated. And it's true. We have basically surrendered ourselves to
Yeah.
technology, to this tiny device in our hands, and now it's controlling us. So in a way, it is a defeat.
But take that phone away and look at the confidence that teenagers going to have
They will
without
not
their
know
phone.
what to do with themselves.
They don't know what to do. They don't know where to look. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to communicate.
They don't
They've,
know. They don't know how to make eye contact.
they don't. No. So that's where sports come in because the sports build confidence. Sports and the the first thing you do if you want to build somebody's confidence is you correct their posture.
Oh, yes.
You know, pull your shoulders back, lift your head up, and look them in the eye.
That's true.
I think I told you yesterday the story about in school, one of our head girls that made a speech at the end of the year. And it was a going away speech. And she said, I want to give you a message. And in Afrikaans, and I'm going to say it now in Afrikaans, and I'll translate for you, but it's kind of the same. It says, lig jou ken en ken jou lig. Okay, it sounds very much the same, and you spell it the same as well. But it means lift your chin and know your light.
Hmm.
So, first of all, correct your posture and know where you're going to. And where are you going to? And who you believe in to go to. Doesn't matter who you believe in, but who is giving you the light to go forward? Who's the light at the end of your tunnel? If
Powerful.
you know those, if you do those two things, correct your posture and know where you're going to, you've got confidence.
Agreed.
You know, the rest
Powerful.
of the things is teachable. How to speak in front of people is something teachable. The knowledge how to get there, there's the internet. But where you want to go to, your end point, and how you're going to get there, the steps that you're going to do, is an end point, and an end point is a little light, little light, little light, little light until you get to the big light. Okay, so where are you going to? Yeah. Lift your chin, look life straight in the eye, and go forward. That's confidence.
Loved it. You nailed it. You nailed it. I don't think there could be a better definition of confidence than this one. And even though, yes, I'm a confidence coach, but this definition just, took another level.
Yeah.
As a true definition of confidence, facing life head on. That's
Facing life.
confidence.
Exactly. You will, as a confidence coach, I think you can absolutely agree with me. You work on the posture, you work on the person too, because you cannot have confidence if you don't accept yourself first.
That's true.
You have to know who you are, and
Yes,
you have to
absolutely.
understand what your goals are and where you're going and who your people are. And uh, a teenager is someone that look around who their people are, and they jump from the one group to the other group until they find a place where they fit in, you know. But it's very important for them what other people think of them to have confidence. But that's not really confidence. That's a social acceptance thing. That's not really confidence, because what other people think of you is none of your business.
That's true.
Um, you have to have confidence in yourself. And if you see the people that has got confidence in themselves, they've got a good posture. They can look life straight in the eye. They don't ask for excuses and walking like this, but they've got a good straight up posture. They look after themselves. They dress well. You know, they fix their hair. That's
Even
confidence.
if no one's looking. Yep, that's true. It's
Exactly.
for
Even when no
themselves.
one's looking.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's the real true definition of confidence. It comes from the inside.
Yes.
It has got nothing to do with appearances because appearances can be deceiving. True confidence is usually the inside, the self-talk that we're doing on a daily basis. What are you saying to yourself every day? What things are you saying to yourself? Are the things you're saying positive or are they bringing you further down? Are you being nice to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Or are you judging yourself more than anyone else ever could? It's a self concept basically. So yes, it's true. Loving
Absolutely.
yourself deeply and unconditionally, self acceptance on a level that's scary for you to go to is self confidence.
Yeah.
Facing your demons head on and accepting your demons, and then you start to work your way up from there. That's when you start to elevate once you have accepted yourself at the deepest level, because that's where your true power lies, and that's where no one can say anything to you that won't bring you down. That's not anyone. When someone says something to you, you won't be affected because you have accepted yourself. So
Exactly.
it doesn't matter
Exactly.
if anyone judges you.
It won't matter.
You won't
And
change.
I found, and that's something I really deeply learned about myself in the past 10 months, is I was extremely, extremely dependent on my husband's approval of what I did right or wrong. For 20 years,
Okay.
I had a beautiful life and two wonderful children. But if my husband was not happy with something that I did, I was on the floor.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, he's not there. You know, I don't have his approval for anything that I need to do. And I have got this long list of things that needs to be done, certificates that needs to be issued, and bank accounts that needs to be closed, and end of service benefits that needs to be paid out, and children that needs to be raised and fed. And and you think, where am I going to fit in? And who's going to tell me I'm okay? And I still sometimes feel, if I look in the mirror, I hope that he's proud of how far that I've come. But then other people would tell me, "You're such a strong lady." It's like, strong has got nothing to do with it. It's getting to the end of my tunnel. It's getting back to the light. That's what's got to do with it. It's get up and getting the things done that needs to be done. It's got nothing to
Hmm.
do with strong. You have to do it. You have to get up again. These people depending on me. Um, I have to carry on. And the easiest way I could do that is if I could look myself in the mirror again. And I am proud of myself. I accept what I've done.
I think this story is going to benefit so many people. So many people, and so many people are going to relate to this because there
Yeah.
are women who either are, they are put in positions where they need to rely on themselves and they have no other option. And there are, and those women that were dependent once on their partners to give them the validation and the support that was always present, once it's taken away, it's like your life source is taken, like the oxygen is taken away, and now you need to learn how to survive in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And this is the point you made, is to just go for it, just take action, right? And action is then followed by confidence. It
Yes.
builds up over time because you're moving the needle, you keep going, and as you do that, you start to become confident along the way. And people have come to me with this problem, women have come to me with this issue that, I was relying on my husband for this and that, and now I'm all alone, I don't know what to do. And this advice that you just gave is gold.
You just take the next step. You don't have to do everything in one day.
Take the next
That's
step.
another thing that I, because also being a little bit attention deficit myself, um, or diverse. Uh, I when we moved into our new home, for me, just moving into the home, it means everything needs a new place. I need to organize the home. I need to see which um, furniture does not fit, which do fit. What else do we need to do? What's the colors of the walls going to be? What is the, all of those things was all of a sudden just my decision, and it
Yeah.
got overwhelming. And if
Sure.
you are suddenly bombarded with so many decisions, then you get what they call ADHD paralysis. You do nothing. You do
Yeah.
nothing because you
Yeah.
cannot focus on anything because there's so many things you have to focus on all at once, that you do nothing. So for 3 months, I lived out of boxes. Um, I literally lived out of boxes and tried to do one box a day because that was my next step. And if I got into bed, I said, okay, that box is done. And this week literally was the mirrors. This week was the mirrors. I'm in month 3, but the mirrors are hanged by the end of this week. It's the next step to get my home in order. So that's how you get out of it. You don't get out of it all of a sudden falling out of sky and life is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life's not going to be good always. You have to accept life is not going to be. You have to be good.
Yeah.
Life is going to throw its lemons at you. Whether you're going to fall down in the lemon and say, this is sour, or you're going to make lemonade, that's your choice. It's up to you, nobody else.
That is some powerful advice right there. Um, you just handle life with grace. You handle the setback with grace, and you gave yourself the time and the capacity to deal with the circumstances one step at a time. And that's pretty powerful. You didn't pressurize yourself to, or you didn't fall for the trap that I have to make everything happen right now. You took your time, you gave yourself grace, and slowly and surely everything is falling into place at its own time.
And Samra, I
Wonderful.
must say, I am very much emotional if it comes to things that I need to handle. It's
I
not
understand.
always it's not the
As a
easiest
woman,
one. Absolutely, because it's now 10 months, 10 and a half months. And yesterday was one of my wins, which I struggled for 10 months to put my husband's phone account into my name. And they said to me, okay, the last step is I need to go and swipe my Emirates ID. So I got to the company to swipe the Emirates ID. And the first thing the lady in front of me said to me, this cannot be done. And I said to her, it can be done. I have spoken to everybody I need to speak to. It is already organized. You just have to swipe my ID. And she said to me, but you have to have your husband with you.
yeah.
And I said, well, I'm sorry, but he's deceased. What you're asking me is not possible. And I think there was a bit of a language problem. So she asked me, so when is he coming back? You know, talk about turning a knife. Um, I said, so I did lose my cool. I said, he's dead. I
Hmm.
lost my cool. Um, and I allowed myself to do it because it's been 10 months. Just swipe the ID. You know, it's you you can have emotions, but you have to recognize them and you have to know that that person did not have your perspective. You have the struggle. They have the book in front of you and do another number. And this is the way it's
Wow.
done. You know,
Interesting.
that's their perspective, not yours. So yes, of course, I asked profoundly, I'm so sorry of the way that I reacted. My reaction was my reaction, and it's not you; it's your procedures. That is infuriating. So um, again, perspective, emotional intelligence, confidence, all comes in together.
All come together. That's true. Agreed. I love how you found let's say a, a light from the cracks. You didn't just victimize yourself. You also stepped back and looked at how this is working out for her. Maybe
Mhm.
she's also going through a similar pattern of people coming up to her and giving her similar stories of wanting to change ownership. And now she's sort of become robotic to these requests. And she's basically not even listening because she's used to listening to this every day. So she has her own journey that she's been going through, and you have your own journey you've been going through. And your
Yeah,
struggles are similar, but on different levels. So I
yeah.
love how you found your strength in this frustration, and I love the conclusion you brought out of this. Ine-Mari, I am honestly, mesmerized by the conversations we've had so far, and I wish we could go longer, but we are reaching our 1 hour of the
Well,
podcast. These stories were emotional. I swear to God, they were so emotional and so powerful at the same time. I mean, I'm just I feel grateful for the fact that I was on the receiving end of hearing these powerful stories. I mean, you have come a long way. As you're a different person now. I mean, I spoke to you 10 months earlier, or before that, we did a podcast together. And you're such a different person. You have so much wisdom, and I want the world to listen to it.
well, there's so much more, Samra, and I love your podcasts, and I love talking to you, and these conversations is amazing for me, and it's just life experiences. So yeah, if you we can do a series, it can come out because I've
Yes, I think
learned from you
I
as
think
well.
we need to.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need to do. We need to create a series for these amazing conversations. The world needs to hear this, and people will know that they have a sense of hope, and they'll
Yes.
know that they're not alone in this. There are people who are facing silent battles, and they don't know that there are other people who have been through this as well, and they're coming out and speaking about it. So yes, we need to continue this. and we'll
Yes.
do this in the next podcast. We'll speak about more about it, and more life stories. I want to hear all of them from you. So thank you so much for your time, Ine-Mari. It was a wonderful, wonderful podcast, and I hope everyone is going to, derive some powerful lessons from it, and I hope they're going to be, taking some gems with them. And until next time, we'll see each other
Absolutely.
again.
I hope that if any of it resonates to any of the listeners, um, that I could shed some light that there's gratitude. It's really something that lifts everything up. Find something to be thankful for every day.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
helps. Yeah.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm grateful today for doing this podcast with you.
Of
Thank you.
course, pleasure is the pleasure is same, and thank you for this advice, because now I'm listening to it from a different perspective, from a perspective of someone who's come out like a phoenix from the ashes and is giving this advice. It hits different. It hits
Thank you.
different.
Thank you. I
Thank,
appreciate that very much. Thank you. Okay.
thank you, Nipuri. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see each other again.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome.